Welcome to the Marinade with Jason Earle. We have an incredible episode for you today. Seth Walker, singer, songwriter, all-around wonderful guy. We caught up at Swanee Roots Revival at Spirit of the Swanee Music Park right after Seth had played this incredibly beautiful set, which we talk about during the conversation. We got deep on a bunch of different topics and allowed ourselves to go on some tangents that I think were really fun. There's some silly moments in this one, so I want to get to it as soon as possible because it was just such a great conversation. He's such a thoughtful, interesting guy. Just want to thank everybody first who listened to the first 3 episodes. If you've downloaded us and listened and like what you hear, please go onto your podcast app and let us know what you think. Give us some feedback. Shoot us an email at marinadepodcast@gmail.com. Go follow us on Instagram, marinade_podcast, or Twitter, Marinade Podcast. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/Marinade Podcast. Give us a like, share, keep sharing the episodes, keep telling people about us. I'm really excited about the next few episodes. Couldn't be more proud of the way that the first 3 came out, but we just keep getting better and better every time. So I'm really excited about this conversation with Seth, who was so gracious to sit down with us in the middle of his busy schedule and talk a little bit about his creative process and talk a little bit about, we go on a tangent about golf and basketball and all kinds of really fun stuff. So I'm excited. I'm grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, The Marinade with Jason Earle, Seth Walker.
Yeah.
Can you keep that going?
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check it. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Check.
You know what to do.
Chickadee check. We have an actual recording.
We do.
That's happening now. This is the real deal.
Yeah,
you can see these sound waves here.
Bands.
This is all official.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for your patience.
Yeah, no problem.
For the listeners at home, I have this all under control. I didn't fuck up at all today. There was not a mess at all.
Never an issue.
We are right on time, and I have crushed it the whole day.
Yes, you.
But you did crush it earlier, man. How'd it feel up there?
Oh man, there's something going on up in this.
Yeah, it's a weird place,
these
right?
Woods.
Yeah, weird in a good way.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. You've played here before several times, right?
Many times. I've actually played the very first one, 1997.
No way.
Yeah.
You don't look old enough to have played the first
one.
one.
I appreciate you, bro.
I'm serious.
Beth and Randy
Yeah.
are old friends of mine. I moved to Jacksonville in the early days, and they were some of the first folks that I met.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And Randy was in a band called the Glass Camels, the Grateful Dead cover band.
I remember the Glass Camels.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, I knew the Glass Camels.
So I kind of, came down and was hanging out with those guys, and I remember when they started this. I think it was 1997.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
No way.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Jacksonville, man, is my, I live in Orlando now, but that's my adopted hometown.
Oh, really?
Jacksonville is my
okay.
favorite. I'm from Ocala originally, but Jacksonville is just, I love that town so much.
Yeah, it was the first place I kind of flew the coop from North Carolina. My uncle, Landon Walker, was a radio DJ at WJCT, which at the time was public radio. It still is a public radio, but it's more classical music now. But at the time, it was very diverse. He had a great show called The Metro, and they had all kinds of different. He had all kinds of different guests. So and he was a jazz bassist, and I was like, well, I think that'd be a good place to kind of start in the music business. At least just kind of stick my little pinky toe in there. So that was 1993.
That's wild, man. Yeah. You just got to exactly what I wanted to get into, which was just like, I don't know what to do with you musically. Like, I don't know.
I don't know what to do.
I'm sure a lot of people feel that way too, and maybe you know that. I'm sure you're aware. I hope you're aware. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
It fits here, right? We're at like essentially a bluegrass and roots festival.
Yeah.
But what you do fits. But there's no way anybody would say it's bluegrass at roots.
Yeah,
but you could fit. I feel like you could play at a jazz festival in Belgium just as easily as you could play here.
We do a little bit of both. It's a. I mean, as far as influences go, I mean, it pulls from all over the place. I mean, I grew up playing classical music. You saw my dad. Did you see my dad up there today?
He was amazing.
Yeah,
and you had Philip Pan up there too.
Yeah, you know Philip Pan?
I don't know him personally. I spoke to him one time. It was the weirdest interaction I've ever had with anybody. It was
I just met him last night.
Because I'm a fan.
So he's the concert master at the Jacksonville Symphony.
Yeah. And so I spoke to him one time. I was at a show. John Stickley Trio was playing in Jacksonville, and I walked up to him and I was just like, "Hi, I see you at Swanee, and I'm a fan of the symphony."
Yeah.
And he just went like this. He just stared at me.
That's all you get.
That's all I got. I was like, "Oh man, I don't know what's going on in your brain right now, but it's probably way smarter than mine."
He's playing symphonies in his brain.
He is probably. Yeah, no, your dad was killing it, and
Linda,
was up there.
Linda Minky, my aunt. Yeah, so that classical music was what I grew up on, and then, some of the early music I heard was Texas country music. Willie Nelson was one of the first things I heard, and then I got off into this whole blues, just portal, wormhole. I went to Austin, like. I got eaten up with Stevie Ray Vaughan and Garrett Clapton and Jimmy Vaughan and Lightning Hopkins and Freddie King and Gabe Mount Brown and all these guys, Texas guys, and just went out there after I was in Jacksonville. So the blues is kind of at the root of all of it, and then I just started, trying to write my own material and pulling from this and that and folk music, and then the whole New Orleans thing got mixed in there, and jazz and soul music, so it's a big mess.
Well, that's a lot. Yeah, it's a big, beautiful mess. I mean, I love it. I love what I'm hearing, man. I was listening. I've been just like really digesting your music recently. Excuse me, and there's a really positive spirit about it. No matter what, you could be singing about like your dead grandma, or whatever you're singing about. I don't know that you have any lyrics about your dead grandma, but there are, no matter what you're singing about, there's just like an uplifting feeling when I'm listening to it.
That's a good thing.
Is that a thing that's a part of you? Are you?
I don't know. I don't think about it consciously. I guess it's spun in there. I mean, I don't know. I just try to. We're all, as an artist, you're just searching to evoke and emote, and I guess maybe, the positive, especially the new record, definitely has more of a positive kind of, I'm definitely a good place in my life, and that probably spins in there. I'm sure it does.
How'd you get there?
Oh, just well, I definitely have a new lady in my life of about 3 years. She's amazing. She's definitely
makes a difference.
She definitely has.
It makes a difference, man.
She's an artist as well. She's a Broadway performer and dancer, and so we have been able to connect and understand each other, which has been nice. And I don't know, I'm just turned 45, so it's starting, get to a little place where it's it's all phases and stages. I know I'll be whistling a different Dixie maybe in another 30 minutes. But you kind of I don't know, maybe stop worrying about shit quite as much. Just letting it come to you.
Crazy you just said that, because Oliver and I were talking about the fact that he said something about how old folks, they look back on their lives and the big thing they say is, I wouldn't have worried as much. I would have worried way less. I do it all the damn time, man.
What's the worry?
I worry all the time.
What are we worrying about?
It's not even worry. It's like, I guess it's worry, anxiety, whatever it is, and I don't even know I'm doing it.
It's so heady. And
it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And it's a day-to-day struggle, day-to-day battle. I mean, definitely, I was actually talking to Oliver about this, is the headiness of what we do, like just trying to just not think, like, God.
He just said that, man.
Really?
Yeah, because he said Colonel Bruce told him that, like, the advice he told him was stop thinking so much. Just
God. And another great Colonel Bruce quote is, I could go on this all night, but try to be as awkward at all times. Try to be as awkward as you can at all times. Pretty perfect.
That's amazing.
That's pretty perfect. But it's true. It's like I when you're up there and you're playing or you're writing and you're You know, you're trying to. It seems like whenever you try to, you know, turn the screw and just try to force the music to come out, or it just doesn't happen.
Do you sit down like and go to work like when you're writing, or is it just whenever you have a moment when it strikes?
It's a little bit of all that. You know, sometimes I most of the time, as far as you're talking about songwriting.
Yeah, well, I mean creative in general.
Just in
but
general.
Yeah,
it's usually something that just kind of is just dancing around, and I just like, I better try to dance with it for a little while before it goes away.
Yeah,
because none of it's ours. You know.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's like today. You know, we had such a beautiful thing out there today, and the wind was blowing, and you know,
the weather was perfect.
The weather was perfect.
Vibe
you know,
was
and that
just
vibe
right.
was right, and you know, you try, and every night, every day is a different thing. So you say, oh God, why can't we capture that every day? You know, because it's a lot of times you'll be playing a gig and you'll kind of see that thing sitting over to the side, that spirit or that muse, you know, and you just can't quite get to it. And that happens with songwriting, with performing, with life, seems like.
Well, yeah, I think that's true. Because I guess, like, now you got me thinking. Supposed to not think. That's what Colonel Bruce said.
Oh, shit.
But that, you know, that's true of life in general, is that there's kind of this ideal, you know, and what you had out there was ideal. I mean, and the other thing that you have to remember is that Spirit of the Swanee Music Park is not a real place. Like I mean, it's a real place. We're here. We're here, I guess.
We
might not be here. Right. but you know, it's not reality.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not and so you're chasing this ideal. That's never going to happen again.
You can't bottle it.
Right.
You just can't.
What you just did, it will never that was the moment with you and us, and that was it, and it's over.
Yeah.
And we have it in our memories.
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, I guess it's going to even get sweeter and sweeter.
Yeah.
You know? But it's not going to happen again.
No. And I guess knowing that or understanding that or listening to yourself really take that in when you say it to yourself, you know, it's like, you know, definitely, you know, something to remember when you're looking for it.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that your partner has like she's an actor, right?
She's a dancer
and dancer,
singer.
So like with what I find in my own creative process is that when I'm around people who are doing things that I can't do, especially musicians, like I play a really shitty guitar, right? But I love it and I love being around it.
Yeah.
And when I'm around it, I end up writing a lot better. So it's this thing that I can't do very well, right? But if I'm around it more and I'm consuming good music, then the writing, which is a different discipline, is better if I'm really consuming good things. So what?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And what are you consuming then? So like film, art, books, like outside of music, what are you consuming? Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely read when I'm on the road. Not as much as I'd like, but you know, I love. I read some of those old classic guys. You know, Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah.
Tom Robbins. I love Tom Robbins. I actually just read Jitterbug for Perfume, which just you ever read that book?
No.
Oh man,
Should
nuts. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I read some of that kind of fiction kind of stuff, and then you know, occasionally my pop's all into. He always liked that Eastern philosophy kind of stuff, so I try to dabble up in that.
Did he turn you on to that early?
He did, the Tao Te Ching.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's you know, when it all goes downhill, all goes to shit, open that up.
Well, I got so many books like that.
Get it together, Seth. Get it together. Relax.
Just
Relax.
chill.
Don't think. Dude.
Will you just take
Please
it easy?
Stop thinking. You're killing me here.
Colonel Bruce said it.
Smalls.
We've said it again. Just stop thinking,
Just
man.
Stop. So I do that. I like to paint. Okay, I used to before I got into this, I went to art school, so I dabble in it a little bit, and that's a nice thing because I don't have to do it for anybody. I don't have to make a living doing it. So I get back to that on occasion. So
On occasion being how often?
Oh my gosh, probably half a dozen times a year.
Oh, okay.
So it's not very regular.
Do you have something like? Is there a canvas up in Seth's house that
needs to be? I have a lot. I do oil pastels on paper. Yeah. So I just sling it out, and mess with it. Every now and then. Yeah. Huh. So that's kind of a nice. I've heard that from other artists musicians that paint. Yeah. It's nice because you don't have to perform either. You just you.
That's a really great point. Yeah. Is that that the process of creating for yourself is different, but I guess maybe shouldn't that be what you're doing all the time?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, it's different because there's other people involved. You've got musicians that you play with. You have your audience, and you have and then so it's more. It's essentially, I guess, the same thing. You're right. We should definitely think of it as the same thing. Yeah. The stop thinking thing. Yeah. But it is a different frame of mind, at least for me, when I'm sitting by myself painting.
How? What's different about it?
Well, it's most time it's just silence, and I don't know. It's something different. It's hard to describe. I don't think I've ever been asked this.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm winning.
It's a different way. You're winning. You're winning.
It's a competition, and I'm winning.
It's working. Some different part of my creative thing, spirit is engaged than when I'm playing music.
So I'm gonna challenge you then. Should you, when you're performing? I'm correct. I'm again winning.
You are correct. You're winning.
Should you approach performing similar to the way you approach painting?
Absolutely. And today
are you going
was
to?
more like. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Today was like painting.
Good.
A little more like painting today.
It felt like that.
A little more like I
Good.
didn't feel nothing. It was just we were all in it together today. It wasn't it wasn't one thing trying to steer another. And it just sometimes it's easier than others. Yeah. Some days it's easier than others. And you can't and in the same breath, when I'm painting, sometimes it just doesn't work either.
What gets in the way, you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Songwriting. Oliver probably had some. And, I've written quite a few things with Oliver. He has some kind of an open channel going on.
He just constantly doing amazing stuff.
He seems to just naturally come to it. So I've had the fortune to write with a few like that.
Does that help you?
Oh yeah, it's like you're talking about being around.
Yeah.
People that can kind of pull things out of you, or
or just that energy. Sometimes you just need to be around people who are doing good work.
Yes, you do. Yeah. And
it doesn't have to be. I find that it doesn't have to necessarily be a creative discipline in the sort of the traditional sense, right? Mm-hmm. It could be just somebody who's really damn good at carpentry. Yeah. Right? Or really good at driving a truck. I don't know. Whatever.
Or somebody who's takes pride in what they do.
Exactly.
Whatever it may be. I love to play golf. It's one thing that I do on some of my spare time.
That's interesting.
And always going to play with a great golfer. Like you gotta step your game up.
You gotta tighten up.
You gotta tighten it up.
Were you an athlete growing up?
I was. I grew up playing. I grew up in North Carolina, so ACC basketball was king. I bled Carolina blue, so I played basketball. Played tennis growing up. I played soccer, and then I got into golf later in my life. And I'm kind of a junkie.
Who's the most creative golfer that you could think of?
Most creative golfer?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
There's a lot of room for creativity, I would say.
Oh, what was that guy's name? I think it was like Seve Ballesteros.
Yeah.
He was the scramble master.
Yeah.
Tiger was pretty creative. 10 years of pulling stuff out of his ass.
Just unbelievable.
Talk about an open channel.
You ever seen him live?
Yeah.
It's wild, isn't it?
Oh my God, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't
You a
care
golfer?
for golf. No, yeah. I don't care for golf. I'm a huge sports fan. I grew up playing baseball.
Cool.
And and basketball. I was pretty good at basketball.
Nice.
But the game of golf was just like you have to dedicate. Like if you're gonna play golf, you have to play golf.
It's like playing jazz.
Exactly. That's great parallel.
If you're gonna play jazz, you've got to you can't just halfway play jazz.
You can't just show up and
me. I'm not. I'm like, forever a frustrated jazz musician. I love that music. But I've never put in the time.
But you have to.
Exactly. If you're gonna be a jazz musician, it's gonna.
You gotta play. You gotta be obsessed. That's why those guys are so weird.
I know. That's why Tiger's such a weirdo.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, if you're gonna be any good at golf, you have to play every day, all the time.
Yes, you do. But God, it's so fun to try. It's cause you hit like 100 shitty ones, and you hit one good one. You're gonna hit another 100.
Keeps you coming back.
Yeah.
I'm my day job is in public service. I don't talk about it exactly on the podcast, but it's like that. It's like I get beat down all day, every day, and then I hit that one shot. And I always make that analogy, but if you don't play golf, you don't know it. Like I played for a long time. I played golf for a long time. I retired from golf.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. 5 years ago, I just went. I'm fucking done.
I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Because I'm not gonna be any good if I don't put the effort in.
It'll hurt your feelings.
It'll
hurt your feelings.
I mean, I grew my ego the whole time.
I grew up playing, sports, and I know that if I pick up a basketball and I dribble it, it's gonna come up to my hand.
Yep.
And I know. I may not hit it in every shot, but I know I'm gonna hit the rim.
Know what to do. Yeah.
I'm an athlete, but sometimes when I step up to a golf ball, it's like
it's not moving.
It's not even moving.
There's somebody.
I'm like a complete
there's no
beginner.
Defense. There's no. You know what the defense looks like.
No defense.
It's not like basketball where even if it's a 2-3 or whatever, it's man whatever. It's going to be dynamic. Definitely
mojo. It's like an energy. It's like a confidence thing. It's energy, mojo. It's not thinking.
We're getting back to that parallel with creating songs. Then it seems like, or playing, right? The performing part is that today you just did. You just did. Yeah. And maybe we would both be professional golfers if we would just do.
Yeah, it's such an elusive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun to talk about, to think about.
And that I'm finding more and more because I found it took me a long time to understand that people aren't into sports. Like there are people who aren't into sports. There's a lot of them. And it was very confusing to me. Yeah, it's like something I came to later in life because when you grow up in the South, I grew up in Central Florida. Mm-hmm. You grew up in North Carolina. Basketball is huge there. Football and baseball are huge where I grew up. Yeah. And it just the concept that everyone's not obsessed with that is very bizarre.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it was just what we did.
You just did.
See basketball. I went to basketball camps. I remember going to Achievements Unlimited basketball camp. In 1984, Michael Jordan it was 1985. He was a rookie at Chicago, and the Air Jordans had just came out.
Oh, man.
And my grandma bought me a pair of Air Jordans. Oh, my God.
You were hot.
So hot. I had the freaking the Air Jordan sweatpants, just owning
Jordan
it.
is like this huge figure in my life as a kid.
Yeah.
For you growing up there, he must have been.
Oh
like,
God, I used to see him. I used to see him play at Carolina.
That's wild.
I mean,
man.
he is the king.
Talk about creativity. I mean, that's a guy.
That's probably one of the most creative athletes ever.
Maybe the most.
Probably so.
It's hard to say, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
Who else in basketball inspired you?
Basketball. I mean, what? You know, one of the most creative dudes, Larry Bird, because he didn't have the athleticism that MJ had, but he was so creative. He made up for it in his creativity, and
That's so true.
that dude could pass.
He was ridiculous.
He could pass the ball.
He could shoot too.
Magic Johnson wasn't too shabby either.
Yeah, Magic was pretty.
He's
creative.
pretty creative.
Because Magic could play all 5 positions.
Yeah,
You have
he was
to be
6'9".
really
He
creative.
was 6. Well, I guess Larry Bird was 6'8" or
Yeah,
close
6
to it. Yeah.
something like that. But they both. That's a great point. They hated each other, but they loved each other.
Oh yeah, God, that was some serious rivalry. Dr. J was pretty creative too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to Dr.
We're
J.
on a basketball completely poor.
Yeah.
Tangent. I love
I
it.
mean, yeah, I'm
I
okay
love
with it.
it.
Are you okay with it? I
we
don't
can
mind
keep
it at all.
talking
I
about
talked to Dr. J one time on the phone.
Really?
A friend of mine
Oh my
was,
God.
isn't that crazy?
Julius,
He goes,
the doctor.
it's so crazy. My friend was like she was just like out at I don't know, a mall or something.
Yeah.
And she had been drinking. And she saw Dr. J, and she didn't know it was Dr. J. Somebody said, that's Julius Erving.
Damn.
And she had called me, or I had called her. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And she's like, "Oh my God, Dr. J is right here." And I goes like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah." And she puts him on the phone, and he goes, "What up? How you doing?" And that was it.
Say?
I nothing. He just handed the phone back to her. That was it.
I'm Dr. J.
He doesn't owe me anything.
Dr. J.
Dr. J, man.
Creativity, man. Creativity.
Yeah.
My old man's got. He's special in that way. You know, I like to think I grabbed a little bit from him. He's a beautiful composer and writer.
Mm-hmm.
And we collaborated on. We have this latest album that just came out at the end of last year. He arranged 3 songs for strings. And so, my mom, who's also a violin player, and my sister, a violinist, we all grew up playing Suzuki violin. They all collaborated with us on the record, which we had never done before.
Yeah.
9 albums later. So that was pretty special, and to be around them, be around my dad, and then my sister and my mom, and their creative spirit. So beautiful to have that recorded.
That's great,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
What was that relationship like growing up? Was there music playing in the house? Were you guys playing together?
Yeah, it was. So you're familiar with Suzuki, the Suzuki era training method?
No.
It's this Japanese Dr. Suzuki.
He makes really efficient cars.
He makes very efficient cars. He it was like an ear training thing. So it starts off with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and on up into the more advanced, Beethoven and Bach and all this stuff, Mozart. So it was the method that my folks taught, and so I grew up playing cello. It wasn't really iron fisted, It wasn't like, you must play the cello
2 hours a day.
Yeah, don't come out.
Or I beat you with
exactly.
cello.
Yeah. It wasn't like that, but it wasn't something that I just really discovered. You know what I mean? So when I discovered guitar, I was like, oh, that's something I wanted to do.
Was that rebellious, or was it just like?
It wasn't even. It wasn't rebellious. It was just the matter of the fact. I was like, oh, and it really spoke to me. But getting back to your question, yes, we play a lot of music around the house, and like I mentioned before, Texas country music was running around. Willie Nelson records. Waylon, Jerry Jeff Walker, Gary P. Nunn, Guy Clark.
Oh, Guy.
And I grew up with another family in a Quaker commune kind of thing out in the country of North Carolina. So it was two families living together as one. And they were into that kind of music. And so that's where the influence came in.
Wow.
Okay.
That's another thing.
That's a whole other thing. Yeah.
So Dad's kind of more classical bent.
Yeah, classical and the Beatles and folk music.
God, you had the most wonderful gumbo right
there. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and then Jim and Susan were more into that, what we're just talking about, the country music kind of thing. It was, there wasn't a whole lot of black music. I didn't discover black music until I went to college.
That's really interesting because it comes through. That black music comes through a lot.
When I heard black music, I was I was like,
Were you around black folks growing up? Or
I had, one of my best friends was this black dude, Chris Jenkins. Man, he was like my buddy.
When you were kids?
Yeah, when I was a kid. And I had some other friends too. And I just loved hanging out with them.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I just loved hanging out.
But they didn't introduce you to any music?
No, not really.
Were they listening to the same thing you were?
We were listening to rap, man. I mean, that's what I listened to. Like when I was in high school.
Like what?
Oh God, like EPMD and friggin', NWA and Big Daddy Kane.
That's early stuff.
Early.
I mean, you're in high school right when it's hitting.
See, I graduated in 1990, so
okay.
Of course, Run DMC.
Yep.
Tribe Called Quest was just on the end. They were a little bit later than those guys.
They don't get enough credit.
No, God, those guys were amazing. And it's funny because I think that rap music really, not that I sing rap music, but the rhythm, it's all about. It's rap. It's called rap. It's about the rhythm,
Yeah.
And so, as I've gone through and explored, music, it's funny that we kind of brought that up. I don't really think about that or talk about that in interviews very often, but it's probably in there somewhere.
That's great. Are you consuming any of that stuff now? Any particular?
I do a little bit. I wish I knew more. There's so much of it.
Much. There's so much really amazing stuff too.
Yeah.
Just like I think about like what Run the Jewels is doing. You ever listen to that?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know much about it, but I should check that out. Okay. Yep. Thanks.
Just spend some time with it, man. I mean, it's unbelievable what they're doing.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit of it, and I've heard a lot of people say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna blow your mind. Yeah. Like, you're just gonna probably. That's all you're gonna listen to now. I can't wait for the next the next record.
Like the Outkast record, like.
Oh, that was
Oh my God! It's like the most musical, just inspiring. Yeah.
Outkast. That's like I guess the first record's like. You're just out of high school then, I guess, when Outkast.
I didn't really catch up to them till later. Seemed like. But I always leaned towards that. I didn't really, all my friends were listening to Led Zeppelin and rock music, Black Sabbath and all that stuff, and Van Halen and things. It was kind of, I listened to it a little bit, but I gravitated more towards rap music.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool that you just explored that too. Like clearly you haven't thought about that
in a while. Eazy-E, man.
Yeah. Have you seen?
I haven't seen that. I heard that's great.
You got to see both. You got to see Straight Outta Compton. You got to see the documentaries on HBO.
Cool.
I can't think. Amazing, right? I can't think of the name of it. Yeah, I feel like an idiot. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, we'll look it up.
All right, okay, I'll dig it up.
But yeah, check it out because they're both worth your time.
Yeah, just the rhythm and when I moved to Texas,
the Defiant ones. Sorry,
the what?
The Defiant ones.
Oh yeah.
When you moved to Texas.
Yeah. I moved to Texas, and on the rhythm kick, it's like it's swinging down there. It's like, hey, you got to get people dancing. It's all about the groove and the swing and the rhythm. And that definitely, it's that probably thread is, always come through all my albums, or at least I aspire to have that. It's got to have a groove.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
It comes through, man.
Yeah, I like that.
That's great. Seth, we are past that 30 minutes. Thank you
Okay.
so much for your time.
Pleasure.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it.
I think.
No thinking. Love is a giver. Well, love is a thief. Well, love will pick you up and then let you bleed. It'll seem like an old friend, then leave you like an orphan in the cold. Seth Walker, everybody. What a gentleman. Stop thinking. And we know you're thinking right now, so stop thinking. Just let things happen. I've been considering all of that so much since this conversation, and I've caught myself so many times just straight up thinking too much, overanalyzing things, and doing all of the things that we just said in that conversation we shouldn't do. Go get Seth's new record, Gotta Get Back. It's so wonderful. His music stands alone. But then when you meet somebody like that and you have the opportunity to sit backstage at a festival like Swanee, and I'm so grateful that I have those opportunities. And you talk about people like Oliver Wood, who of the Wood Brothers, who I got to interview earlier that day and who will be on a future episode of the Marinade. It's amazing to me that a man like Seth Walker has that kind of access and is such a gentleman and is so humble about things. And his patience, the fact that I was just having one of those shitty days where nothing is going the way that I expected to go. And Seth was incredibly accommodating. I was late for our interview, which is not like me. I'm never late. And he was like, Jason, it's fine. We'll just catch up later. And he just accommodated that. He made sure that he stayed in contact with me. He made sure that we got a chance to sit down in a quiet place. He made sure that he was open and he was aware and he was honest, and it was just, it comes through, I hope, in the conversation. But I'm so grateful for people like that who make such beautiful art and are humble enough to take their time, their very valuable time, to talk to us. Thank you all so much for listening. Again, please go to facebook.com/Marinade Podcast. Give us a like. Please, please, please go to Instagram, Marinade_podcast, and give us a follow. Send us an email, marinadepodcast@gmail.com, and let us know what you like and what you don't like and what you want us to improve upon. Maybe you have suggestions for the show or guests you want to hear us chase after. Please do that. It really helps us to get that feedback, and thank you guys so much for all the feedback you've given already. Thank you again. We really appreciate your time. Seth Walker, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and let it play. This song is called Call My Name off his newest record, Gotta Get Back. With you, baby. Just call my name.